the Elon Musk situation caught fire. And people are saying that Twitter is going to close, that it's going to shut down. And I don't know whether that's true. Like, I don't know whether that's just hyperbole. I guess it might, but you tell me. Here's what happened, just to bring the audience up to speed. On Wednesday, Musk sent out an email to employees entitled "A Fork in the Road." According to ABC, the email reads, "Going forward to build a breakthrough Twitter 2.0 and succeed in an increasingly competitive world, we will need to be extremely hardcore. This will mean working long hours at high intensity. Only exceptional performance will constitute a passing grade." Then he said, "Click here if you agree to this. If you don't agree, you're going to get 3 months of severance. Let me know by 5 p.m. on Thursday." Then the next day, RIP Twitter was the top trend worldwide, as we got all these virtue signaling Twitter employees like doing a salute emoji, like goodbye, bye, bye. I'm not going hardcore to help the world's richest man become richer. F you, Elon Musk. And then I don't know what the numbers are. Gizmodo says hundreds of Twitter employees resigned. Reuters says more than 600. Washington Post says could be between 1,000 and $1,500. I have no idea. Elon tweets out, "The best people are staying, so I'm not super worried." But at the same time, he softens his stance on remote work. He had earlier said, "Get back into the office or you're out." Now he's like, as long as your manager says you're doing fine, I won't bother you. So he does seem to be slightly worried, notwithstanding what he's tweeting publicly. And it's gotten to the, and then he tweeted out this, Vivek, "How do you make a small fortune in social media? How do you make a small fortune in social media?" Answer, start out with a large one. Doesn't seem like it's going well so far.
Well, look, I think there's a couple different issues going on here, Megyn. Each of them deserve discussion. First of all, on the hard work issue, look, I have founded multi-billion-dollar companies. Elon Musk has founded collectively multi-trillion-dollar companies. So I'm going to offer my wisdom here with humility. But one of the experiences I had in leading a biotech company was we actually had a program several months in that I instituted, which said that, you know what? We will effectively pay you to leave, give you a good deal to leave if you don't want to opt in to the culture, which includes hard work and dedication. And it's a great way of pruning out people who don't want to be there. So from a management perspective, I actually like the way he's handled it. First, take an axe to just cut as many employees as you can to save the cost structure while leaving the essential employees intact. And then further, allow for some self-selection to be really clear about expectations going forward. What you don't want is misaligned expectations for a workforce to say, here's what the owner is going to expect of you. If you're misaligned with that, you shouldn't stay at the company. I think that was transparent and clear. I think where it becomes a little bit muddled is that many of those employees have ideological disagreements with Elon Musk and are using their laziness, but justifying it with their ideological disagreements to sort of masquerade in the morality of the ideological disagreements, when in fact it was just laziness all the way down. And so, as I frequently joke around, in part, it's our cultures of success, Silicon Valley's culture of success, that bred this culture of entitlement among workers at Twitter and other companies in Silicon Valley. That entitlement then inevitably breeds laziness. And this victimhood morality complex fits laziness like a glove. That's really what's going on the management side, where I don't have any disagreements with the way Elon Musk is handling it. That is distinct, Megyn, from where I do have a different point of view on what appears to be his vacillations on what it means to actually run a free speech platform. And here, this actually ties to even our discussion about Bob Chapek, about actually having a clear North Star and sticking to it, as opposed to going down the slippery slope of wavering based on what external demands put pressure on you to do. That's actually what I'm more worried about than the operational considerations, where Elon has great expertise, knows how to run an operation, knows how to drive a hard-charging culture, who to keep, who not to keep. I trust him with that, probably better than most anyone on the planet. But I do worry a little bit on his lack of a clear definition of what it means to operate a free speech platform. Some days it sounds like he means it's just a centrist model of censorship. Some of his recent statements definitely seem to suggest as much after pressure from advertisers and civil rights groups. But I don't think that's the right way to do this. You and I have talked about this before. There are clear rules of the road for the way you operate a free speech platform without making those decisions centrally. And so that's where my concern is more.
See, I totally get what you're saying. He's let back on Trump, though Trump hasn't tweeted, and Trump is now stating, quote, he sees no reason to return to Twitter, though he's got some between 70 and 80 million followers, which is far lower than he used to have. I don't know whether people voluntarily left or they did a cleansing, who knows with Twitter. In any event, he says he sees no reason to return because he's got his own social network now, Truth Social. So he let Trump back on. He let Kathy Griffin back on. He let on Jordan Peterson and the Babylon Bee, the latter of whom were suspended, both of them, for questioning the transgender, ideology pronouncements. Like you can't, they said like Rachel Levine is a man. They said that and they got booted. Ellen Pompeo in Jordan Peterson's case. In any event, he won't let back on Alex Jones. And honestly, I'm okay with that decision. I've spoken a lot about Alex Jones in my past shows, but here's why I think that made sense. He should have just been quiet because his justification on Alex Jones is basically, you do anything involving children and you get no pardon from me. Well, that, as you just point out, sounds like sort of centrist censorship. To me, the reason why I've never been on Alex Jones's side is because Alex Jones fell outside of the free speech parameters. Alex Jones, his speech was unlawful. There is a sliver category of speech that is unlawful, that the law will penalize you for, and repeatedly singling out individuals and making up lies about them, pernicious lies like you fabricated the death of your child. There's no one in his grave. You said you held him in a body bag and it was a lie. That's unlawful speech. It's not protected. You can be sued for defamation for that kind of speech. That's what happened to Alex Jones. That's why the jury's found against him repeatedly. That's why he's in such legal trouble. And if I ran a social media platform where I had that kind of level of irresponsibility when it comes to the law and specific targeting of individuals to the point where the individuals are getting death threats and you're ruining these grieving families' lives, I would never allow him to speak on my platform either.
So Megyn, let's agree on that, but irresponsibility and illegality are two different things. So let's call that case precisely by what it was, illegality. It was not First Amendment protected speech. It's made its way through the court system. My view, though, is there are clear rules of the road for how you operate a free speech platform. No viewpoint-based discrimination, period. No government coordination on censorship, period. This relates to the Alex Jones case now. If you're going to remove false speech, the company bears the burden of proof of demonstrating such speech was false. And yes, a court order is dispositive evidence that such evidence was false. Such speech was false. And then lastly, when in doubt, give the choice back to the users. Let the users decide what they do and don't get to see by opting into censorship protocols if they do want to see them. That's what solves the dilemma here, because the converse problem is actually the harder one, Megyn. There's a lot of lawfully protected speech under the First Amendment. Spam, porn, at least softcore porn. Much of that is protected under First Amendment doctrines, yet most people don't want that in their Twitter experience. Well, that's what gives the user the ability to opt out of it. And so I think, and by the way, that isn't a viewpoint anyway, so no viewpoint-based discrimination as a first pillar, effectively takes care of that. So I think there are some clear principles. I'm not saying that's easy, but it's not as hard as you might think either. I've written about this extensively in the Wall Street Journal and elsewhere. That's what it means to operate a free speech platform. That is different than taking a poll and saying that, hey, do people think that Donald Trump should be allowed or not? And then it's 60-40 or whatever the result is, and say that people have spoken. Or to make declarations that say,
that's what he did.
10% of extremists on the right and 10% of extremists on the left aren't going to be happy. And this is his quote, maybe we don't even want them. To me, I think it may be a step forward incrementally to say that you're going to bring Elon Musk centrist rules of the road to decide who gets censored or not, but do it centrally as opposed to one-sided progressive rules. But that's only a tiny step forward on principle. I think that what he really needs to do, Megyn, is to have clear first principles for what it means to operate a public town square in the private sector. There's I think, a historic opportunity to do it. And I worry that Elon's skill set is so well suited for the operation and even building the business model and the monetization of this platform, if it's successful, that he's, if I may say it bluntly, not thinking clear-headedly enough about how to stick to his own vision of operating this as a free speech platform. But the problem is doing that well, doing that unapologetically and clearly is actually the path to business success, because that was the thesis for the acquisition in the first place. This idea of bending the knee to advertisers or to civil rights advocates, that is a one-way slippery slope. It seems like a siren song that's appealing. In the end, it's a one-way slide down. And I worry that Elon's getting buffeted by those winds a little bit. Not dissimilar to our friend Bob Chapek, who we talked about earlier. Of course, in a very different context here, but there's a parallel between the two. And I think that first principles need to win here. I'm not sure that's what I actually see happening, but I do hope that Elon comes around to that, because I think the business success is predicated on first having those clear rules of the road for what it means to be a free speech platform. Not quite.
He's in a pickle. He's in a pickle because of the advertisers that are on Twitter, right? It's like, I mean, when I launched this show, I intentionally said to my team, don't give me any weak-kneed advertisers who are going to run at the first sign of trouble. This is one of the reasons why I love my advertisers, and I am proud to work with them and to sell their brands, right? Because he's bought a far left platform that has been patronized by advertisers who are used to the far right or far left messages being promoted and the right messages on the right, the conservative messages being stifled, and half of them are running. Now they're running because the mainstream narrative about Twitter is it's gone alt-right. The Nazis have taken over, and you know, if you care at all about your brand, you'll get off. So I want to talk about CBS News next, but just a quick correction. I said Ellen Pompeo before, and I meant to say Ellen Page, now Elliot Page. Ellen Pompeo's in my head because she's leaving Grey's Anatomy. Okay, so CBS News, the former home of Mike Wallace. I mean, this is a guy I completely admire, not exactly as a family man, but as a professional. Ed Bradley, you know, I mean, they used to call it Murderer's Row on 60 Minutes because they were just so fearless. They would go confront the Ayatollah, confront the head of the KKK. Nobody put fear in them. CBS News on Friday said, in light of the uncertainty around Twitter and out of an abundance of caution, CBS News is pausing its activity on the social media site as it continues to monitor the platform. It was concerned about whether it was a safe place. CBS News, they got mocked mercilessly. And with 48 hours, their concerns were satisfied, even though absolutely nothing had changed on Twitter. Vivek, I can't.
Affable and hypocritical, but I think there's a deeper philosophical question here and a different kind of fork in the road for Elon Musk. Not the one that he talked about with his employees working hard. I'm with him on that one, but a different fork in the road. And I think that the philosophy here for me is, I think fear is contagious in our culture. If the last 3, 4, 5 years have taught us anything, it is that fear is contagious with a very low activation energy. It does not take a lot to start a domino effect of fear in our corporate culture. But I think courage can be contagious too. It just has, as I frequently argue, a higher activation energy. Elon Musk has an opportunity to trigger that cascade of courage. I think everyone is looking to the left and looking to the right, to the civil rights group, to what the other companies are doing, uncertain as to how they're supposed to treat this moment. I think Elon Musk has taken the Mark Zuckerberg playbook right now. Go on the listening tour. Ask people what really extremism means. Build the platform for the 60% of Americans who are in the middle, whatever the middle might mean. It presupposes a one-axis ideological spectrum, which I reject anyway. That's the road he's going down. I think that is doomed for failure, Megyn, versus actually leading the way and saying that, you know what, we may disagree with what you have to say, but part of what it means to be American is that you have a right to express it, as long as it's a viewpoint. That doesn't mean spam. That doesn't mean porn. That doesn't mean libelous speech that has been proven as such in courts. But generally, viewpoints that are protected under the First Amendment, you get to say it, but you also have a right to say that I don't want to see it if I don't want to. I'm a user. I get to opt in or out of those protocols. I think that's something that, if framed in the right way, I'm not sure those advertisers would quite flee in the way that they are now, which is instead going to be a steady one-way decline about a debate about whether or not something counts as centrist. That's where the Donald Trump piece comes in, where if you're going to actually take this centrist approach to censorship, some people will say that is an extremist that you're allowing on the platform. And you get back into this tug of war about what it means to be an extremist versus what it means to be a centrist. That is not what the debate about free speech is about. It should be content agnostic with respect to viewpoints that are First Amendment protected. That's just not the direction he's going, Megyn. And it pains me, as you probably can tell, to watch this. You know, I'm writhing a little bit because I just don't think that, I think he has the motivations in the right place. I don't know that his skill set lies in seeing this level of clarity on that normative question, even though he has a skill set that makes anyone else's pale in comparison to what it actually means to run a hard charging operation. And he's going to need both. In fact, the clear vision on the content moderation question first in order to actually make this work.
There is so much to love about fall, from the cooler temperatures to the changing leaves, pumpkin spiced everything. What better way to soak up the best of this season than with a Michael Phelps swim spa by Master Spas? A Michael Phelps swim spa combines the benefits of a pool with the therapy of a hot tub. It comes in a variety of sizes to complement almost any yard, even if it's a small one. Master Spas worked with Michael Phelps to develop an at-home training and fitness solution that you can use year-round in any season, even in the winter, believe it or not. As your fall calendar fills up, a Michael Phelps swim spa is the perfect place to spend time together as a family. Michael Phelps swim spas are 100% made in the USA by Master Spas, the world's largest swim spa manufacturer. It is energy efficient. You can use it all year long, as I mentioned. Go to masterspas.com, put in the promo code MK, and that will save you $1,000 on a Michael Phelps swim spa or $500 on a Master Spas hot tub. Masterspas.com, promo code MK. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.